It's good having Dan Illman on hour 2 of Coast to Coast now on SportsGrid. One question for you, Carver High, real quick. Isn't like Sierra Leone like a real dangerous place? Like there's all kinds of war going on there for like 50 years, civil war, and just Sierra Leone is like one of the scariest places on earth. Is that not accurate? Who names their horse after a war-torn?
I think that is accurate. I believe that is accurate.
You wouldn't last 5 minutes there. They'd have us cooked like a pig on a stick in Sierra Leone. Can you imagine? Carver High and Ferrall land on a trip scouting horses for the Kentucky Derby, and we're both put on a stake and burned at the stake, twisting us like a pig at a luau in Sierra Leone.
You know one thing. I'm not going to be, and I'm Dan's probably right because Dan knows more than me. I'm sure that these favorites are probably going to blow everybody away. But we've seen it a lot. There's 20 horses in this race, and there's a lot of 20 to 30 to 1 horses that are in there that could absolutely end up winning this thing. One horse I do like that he mentioned, the Japanese horse, has never lost a race. They were telling me he's never lost a race.
What's the name of the horse?
That's Forever Young, the Japanese horse in the 11 spot. So that I might have a couple dollars on Forever Young to go after. So,
that's the same name that Carver High and I use the cream Forever Young on our face to try to stay young. We use the moisturizer Forever Young. It's an anti-aging cream that we use here at SportsGrid when we're trying to keep young looking. Fresh.
Couple things here before we finish off last night's basketball. The Giants beat the Red Sox 3-1 at Fenway, so a giant win this afternoon. The Orioles did finish off the Yankees 7-2. The Mets and the Cubs are 5-5, top of the 10th at Citi Field, so they've gone to extras there. We'll see what happens. And the Rangers have a 3-0 lead on the Nationals. That game is in the 5th inning right now in Arlington, so we'll see how that goes. The other game last night, the Celtics made quick work of the Heat. Look, they lost in 5. They had one game where they didn't really show up and they lost. They blasted them by 20 or 30 points in every other game. 118-84 was the final last night. Derek White again, Scotty. He, of course, had the huge 38-point game in Game 4 in Miami and then followed it up with another huge performance, 25 points here, as he was hitting once again from everywhere on TNT.
Pritchard gets the switch he wants. Derek White guarded by Patty Mills, a couple of former Spurs. Oh, Derek White keeps it rolling.
Look, here's the problem. It's real simple, is that everyone's so worried about Tatum and Brown that no one guards Derek White, and this guy just constantly daggers up from deep. He can hit shots. He can play. The guy can definitely shoot. You can't leave pure shooters in the NBA wide open. I mean, and that's what it's just constant. Like, here we go again with another massive blowout in this series, and the series is now over. And I got to be honest with you, I'd had about enough of the Miami Heat. Okay, I think Spo is great. I think the Heat have had a couple of great runs to the finals and everything else. We've seen them make it and lose. Haven't you had your fill of the Heat for a while? Can we have someone else go to the finals and lose instead of them? I'm sick of them being in every final and going on these runs. They just weren't that good of a basketball team this year at all. That's why they were the 8. That's why they were in the play-in. Let's stop with all this. These teams that are 7, 8, 9, 10, they all suck. Okay? They shouldn't even be in the playoffs. And then they find a way to make them playoff teams anyway with all of Adams' creative in-season tournaments and play-in tournament. We're going to make, what they do is, we're going to make stew out of water, and we're going to throw a couple carrots in there. We're going to make a team that sucks look good, and we're going to put them in prime time on television. Then we're going to sell Jimmy buckets to you for a month at a time. Meanwhile, the guy never played. Now, I'm hearing he wants a supermax deal. Now, at some level, I don't deny that he's been great for the Heat, but at some point, don't you just say, we're going to give this guy all this money, he never plays anymore?
That's where it really comes down to. He doesn't
Why
play
would you
very
give him
often.
all that money? He never plays anymore. He's like becoming Mike Trout.
Man, Mike, another great start.
Am I wrong?
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
He doesn't play. Hard to give a guy a max that never plays. I'm going to skip over Derek White because you brought up Spoelstra and you brought up the Heat. So I just thought this was funny because I guess Spoelstra's kind of had enough of it too, Scotty. He ain't going to be watching any more playoff games or any more Celtic games. He needs a break. Here's Eric.
They played very good basketball, and they probably had something, to motivate them even more against us. But they played at a high level, and they will probably. I will not watch 1 minute of their games, but they'll probably do this, to several teams, from here on out. They've got a very good team. They know what they're doing, and they deserve this one.
I think they're I think they're really good. I don't deny that. I still think they're going to go and lose in the final. I do. I think the West will win it no matter who it is. I mean, I think that Denver T-Wolves series is going to be insane. And then I think it's going to be OKC, obviously, in Dallas. That's going to be insane. And then the Western Final is going to be insane. And then whoever wins that is going to win the NBA title. I think they'll beat the Celtics. I think the Celtics are really good, and I think the teams in the West are better. All four of them.
I don't disagree with you, and that gets us to the Porzingis thing too. I've told you all year, if they have everyone, maybe they could do it. I just feel like Porzingis changes that team. It opens a lot of things up. We've already seen that Brown and Tatum, Scotty, they're not doing it by themselves. In fact, they barely did it in this series. I mean, White had huge games.
Right.
I just don't trust those guys if Porzingis isn't there. And Holiday's not a scorer anymore since he's joined this team. He don't score. He's just basically there for defense and to distribute the ball around a little bit. So I'm with you. I don't think that they should be the favorites. You see them; they're plus 150, plus 160 to win the NBA championship. I'm not in on it. That's for sure.
Listen, one other thing, like about Kristaps, right? I think Porzingis, it is truly unbelievable to me how soft he is. I mean, this guy is soft serve ice cream. He's another one that just constantly injured. I mean, it's just like, at some level, you just can't count on him. You can't count on this guy. When is the last time you saw him play 2 games in a row? Like it's always something with him. He's candy ass. I love Zinger and I love his game and he can shoot threes and he can block shots and he can play, but he never plays. He's always injured. I don't want guys, if I'm running a team and I'm the GM of a team in the NBA, I'm just not signing guys that are always injured. Like, how stupid are you? What I want is, as an executive, is a young team that I draft like the Thunder have done. They have built that team from scratch with all those loaded stockpiled picks, and they're all a bunch of young kids too stupid to realize that they're playing every single night in back-to-backs and 82 games and how high a seed they are and how good they are. They don't know whether they're coming or going, but they're damn good, right? I don't want some old veteran team filled with guys that can't get out on the floor but once a week. I mean, honestly, Butler, Porzingis, don't get me started. Kawhi Leonard, don't get me started. We'll be here all day. I want young players that I drafted. That's it. I don't want anything else. Not only that, I don't want free agents coming to my team that are always injured. I'm not signing guys that can't play every night.
Dame get frustrated. Miserable year in Milwaukee. Does he ask out? Does Giannis ask out? Well, you ain't got no one else to trade. Middleton makes a ton of money, old. Bobby Portis makes a ton of money, old. Brook Lopez makes a ton of money, old. Pat Connaughton's going to give you nothing in trade value. So to me, watch Milwaukee. Folks, this could be the end of the Bucks dynasty.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Catch the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
I just don't want to play for clicks. I want to be involved with a great leading program that's going to develop players. Him leaving Colorado, a shot across the bow at Dion. I don't think Dion cares.
We saw Logan Diggs move on from LSU to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. Don't be shocked if you see John Emery potentially maybe at another school, maybe like a Miss State or even maybe like a Texas A&M.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Carver High, we're under a tremendous strain here. A couple things I wanted to tell you real quick before we dive right back into it. I always like to talk about nonsense on the show just to make sure that we're still all breathing. One, I noticed today at the gym while I was trying to do sit-ups that I actually have now a fat ring around my gut. So when I do sit-ups, you remember when you were like a kid, you do the sit-ups and you go all the way to the knee and you just keep doing them and you're like, huh, and you do them and you're like, huh, and you do them. Now I do them and I hit a fat ring at about 3/4 mark. I go, and I stop. I can't go to the knees. I just go, huh. And then I went to myself in the gym. I went, I think I'm fat. I can't do a full sit-up. I do a 3/4 sit-up and I hit a fat ring. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about with you is this show, this demented, twisted, vulgar, unbelievable show that I watched on Netflix, this Baby Reindeer. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about it because it's the #1 show on streaming TV right now. And it is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And I watched it last night. I am still in need of a shrink and therapy today after watching. I haven't even watched all the episodes. I watched like 80% of them. And I'm ready. I'm ready to check myself into a rubber room. Like the stuff I saw on that show, Carver High. I mean, if you watch that with Hot Nicole, you'd have to put the kids like at grandma's house. There's some really crazy stuff going on over there.
I had not even heard of what you're talking about until 4 minutes ago when you brought it up. I would. I'll try to check it out.
It's about like this 500-pound heifer. Yeah. She's a stalker. And she means business. I mean, this chick has got it down to a science. She did like a 5-year stretch for stalking. She stalks everyone, politicians, police. She falls in love with someone, she stalks them. This chick is crazy. You know what's even worse? The story's true. And the guy that plays the one that's stalked is the actual guy that got stalked. They made him the actor. This guy's turning into an actor now. And meanwhile, he's the one that she stalked in real life. And I mean, this chick was cuckoo, 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 cuckoo.
I guess I don't think my Netflix has kind of shown me this because, 95% of the stuff that gets played on my Netflix is, Minions and all the kids, it's all kids stuff that gets played. So I guess that's
your game.
That my Netflix isn't exactly the target audience for that kind of a show. They're not going to go and put that right on the home page when I log on. So I'll have to dig a little deeper.
It's
and
crazy.
try to find it there. We have 2 Game 6s in the NBA playoffs tonight. That is right, tonight. We will start in Indiana, where the Bucks and the Pacers will get together once again. Of course, the Bucks won at home in Game 5 to force this game number 6. That was without Giannis and without Dame time. It sounds like, Scotty, maybe at least one of them could be back tonight. Now, Woj earlier said that they're both working to try and make a return. Still unclear if either will or be able. Lillard has been upgraded to questionable. If you ask Doc about such things, though, Scotty, of course, Doc never knows what's going on.
Giannis and Dame, is there a chance that is extending this series that you guys
Here we go,
hope to get them on the floor?
I don't know how to answer that.
What?
I know. I hope. I think they're very, very, very close.
Oh, very close is what they are.
Look, if they don't play tonight, I think they're dead meat.
Yeah. But what if they do play? What happens if they do play tonight? This is now 6.5 for the Pacers and 217.5 the total.
Well, if they do play, I think the number will go down. And if they do play, I think it'll be Neil Young City. Russ never sleeps. Neither one of them have played. Giannis has been out a couple weeks, right? Like, at least. Let's stop acting like he played yesterday. It's been a couple weeks. And I'm not a fan of guys that don't play for a couple weeks. I'm not a fan of a guy that doesn't play for 5 days. That you're out of your cardio rhythm of playing every other day, grinding every day, shoot around, walk through, practice, play, grind. When you don't play, you are never in the same rhythm as you are when you play. Like, I went away for a week, came back, I sucked. The first couple times I played, I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything. I think it's no different for any player at any level. It's simple. If you play all the time, you're in rhythm, you're in cardio rhythm, you're in basketball shot rhythm. You can get a good, clean look and take it and knock it down. When you don't play for a week or two, that same shot, the basket looks like a thimble. You can't even make the shot. You brick. You're hitting the back of the iron. Your cardio running up and down the court. Do people realize? I don't know if you realize this or not. There are different size courts. Okay, when you play in the NBA, that's the biggest court on earth. And I play on, like, sometimes on Saturdays on an NBA court, and Mafia's playing on an NBA court with me in league championship games. And it's just a much bigger court, and it's harder to run on it. It's brutal. It's a wider, longer, the whole deal. College court, high school court, different size. The pros, it's a bigger court. And when you don't play for 2 weeks and you get out on that big court, you start breathing like you were, like, cow tipping. It is no joke.
It can't be easy. And look, I'll just say this about tonight. I think the Pacers are going to win, Scotty. I think they're the better team. But I'd be a little nervous in laying that number for this reason only. This is a different spot for this young Pacer team. They showed the other night in the closeout game they couldn't get it done. It's going to start to get a little tighter for them. And if they see Lillard and maybe Giannis on the other side tonight, I could just see them getting even tighter. Watching those guys come out and try to extend this thing back to Milwaukee for a 7th game. I'll give you the most bet player props for that, and then we'll get into the Knicks and the Sixers. Game 6 down in Philadelphia tonight, which should be a wild one.
So this thing's down to 6 now for the Pacers, and the money line is minus 220 for them to win. You might be right, taking that 6th spot with the Bucks, because it's do or die for them. They're going to go all in.
Does Dame get frustrated? Miserable year in Milwaukee. Does he ask out? Does Giannis ask out? Well, you ain't got no one else to trade. Middleton makes a ton of money, old. Bobby Portis makes a ton of money, old. Brook Lopez makes a ton of money, old. Pat Connaughton's going to give you nothing in trade value. So to me, watch Milwaukee Folks, this could be the end of the Bucks dynasty.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
I just don't want to play for clicks. I want to be involved with a great leading program that's going to develop players. Him leaving Colorado, a shot across the bow at Dion. I don't think Dion cares.
We saw Logan Diggs move on from LSU to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. Don't be shocked if you see John Emery potentially maybe at another school, maybe like a Miss State or even maybe like a Texas A&M.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I admit, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High, the Milwaukee Indy Series best player props. I don't know. I don't think I'm that scared to lay 6 in a game at the Fieldhouse because I think the Pacers play way better there. I think that place will be on its side tonight and lit, and I think they could get going in the third and then late and finish them off by 7 or more. I really do.
I know that they'd be creaky if they played, but I would only probably consider it, and you're right, the line will go down if they did play anyway. I'd only consider it if I had both Giannis and Lillard tonight. That's the only way that I would probably back the Bucks in this spot. Most bet player props. Portis, under 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Miles Turner, under 2.5 threes. Middleton, under 9.5 boards. Turner, over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. Turner, under 1.5 assists. Everybody playing Miles Turner tonight at the window for Indiana.
So that Turner over, what did you say, 21.5 points, rebounds, assists?
31.5.
All right, 31.5. Like, well, first of all, I like him over the 2.5 threes. I think he'll make 3 threes tonight for the Pacers unequivocally. I actually like the over in that Portis PRA. I mean, he had 29 the other night scoring. All I got to do is get some rebounds and dimes. I think Bobby Poe goes over as long as he doesn't lose his mind and get thrown out of the game. And, that Turner, I like that too over the 31.5 PRA. I really do. I think he's going to hit 3 or 4 threes. This guy plays great in that building and shoots great there. So I'd be willing to go there with those. I'm not worried about him with, assists and everything. He's not a passer. Come on.
No. It's just bonus if you ever actually get
block
one. The
shots
other one, the
and
late
threes.
Yes. The late game tonight, and I say late, 9 o'clock East tip in Philadelphia for the Knicks and the Sixers. This has been by far the most entertaining series in the first round of the NBA playoffs, and it has been very gut-wrenching for Knicks fans like yourself, Scotty. Here is Jalen Brunson, of course, off the overtime loss the other night, says the Knicks, a very resilient group.
What have you learned about the squad in this series, or have you learned anything?
About our team?
Yeah.
We're resilient.
Wow, fascinating stuff.
No matter what the outside people say, positive or negative, we know what we got to do. We're going to stick together, and that's not going to change within us. And I like the fact that that's how we think.
What have you learned? I learned that they blew that Game 5. I learned
that too. They did blow that Game 5. That's for sure.
And
now
the
look,
refs
you had the refs helped. You could say these games kind of canceled each other out. I know it's very different. You're talking about an elimination game the other night. In the Game 2, you had the dopey report with all the stuff that they got wrong that didn't help the Sixers. So it kind of went both ways if you want to look at it that way. 3.5 for the Sixers tonight. 201.5 is the total.
I got to tell you, I just smell Saturday night primetime, Game 7 at the Garden at 7 o'clock on TNT, like it were staring me right in the face. I don't think the Knicks get it done tonight in Philly. I think the Sixers and Maxey and Embiid will score a ton, get to the line a ton, get a bunch of crappy calls from the crappy refs that have butchered this entire series. It boils down to you already know the refs are going to be terrible. You already know they're going to make a ton of bad calls. That's all they do. This entire series has been butchered by the refs. So this comes down to the old saying I used to say with Mafia all the time on this show. You win in spite of them. You have to win in spite of them. You have to hit the last shots. Like Harden hit those 3 floaters. They won the game in Dallas. You got to hit the shots. Maxey hit the logo shot. It doesn't matter how bad the refs' calls were. It doesn't matter. Hart wasn't out of bounds. They called him out of bounds. You lose. They're bad calls. You have to overcome and win in spite of their atrocities calling these games. They're so terrible. So I expect nothing to change tonight. Terrible refereeing, terrible calls, close game, tight game. Sixers win, and then you get a Game 7 in primetime Saturday night. And that's exactly the way Adam Silver and the NBA drew it up. They want Philly and New York Saturday night, Game 7 in primetime on TNT. That's exactly what's going to happen.
The 2024 Stanley Cup odds, the Hurricanes remain the favorite, followed by the Panthers and the Rangers. Interesting that they all are coming from the similar side of the bracket.
While the Oilers have the top-end talent, I still don't think they have enough depth, and Stuart Skinner does not scare me in net. So I will take a long series from the Oilers and the Kings, and ultimately I think the Stars are the ones coming out of the West for the Stanley Cup.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I will say this. Beal is not going anywhere. I don't think he has enough value. If Phoenix gets knocked out in the first round, especially if this is like a sweep or a 4-1 series win for Minnesota, you will see Kevin Durant and or Devin Booker being traded.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is the Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
So check out the new betting market for the NHL playoffs that you can only get with BetMGM. They have empty net goal markets for entire slates as well as specific games. Find them in the app under NHL tab, then the props tab. You can also find the specific game markets under each game along with the NHL props tab. You're good to go with the Stanley Cup playoffs and BetMGM. Get the mobile app today on iOS or Android. Coach James Young joins us every day on C2C as we continue through the NBA playoffs. And the first thing I wanted to start with is, as far as Ruben buying up all those tickets and trying to distribute them to Sixer fans only and to keep the New Yorkers out of the Farrell's Fargo Center tonight in Philadelphia, how do you think that's going to work out for him? And I think what you said to me in a break is so true. What I believe a normal, Philadelphia fan would do. This is what I agree with. Tell them what you said you think they'll do with those tickets.
Really quick, Ferrall, just so people know, last time the Knicks and the Sixers played was in '89. Knicks were up 2-0. They went to Philadelphia for a Game 3. Charles Barkley was on the Sixers. They could not sell out the game. They took out advertisements to try and get people to buy the tickets. What happened? Knicks fans still showed up. Guess what's happening tonight? Do you think, folks, when it's $700-800 a ticket, the cheapest ticket was $600 for Game 5, you think a Knicks fan ain't going to pay $200 or $300 to raid the Wells Fargo Center? Folks, I did it for Game 3. I ain't got no problem. If I had time, I was going. Folks, it ain't going to work. I see the Philadelphia fans taking the tickets and then flipping them for Knicks fans because at the end of the day, they don't care about blue and red. All they care about, Ferrall, is green. Knicks fans will be there tonight. Rest assured, they will be loud and they will be obnoxious tonight.
I also think that their fans will scalp the tickets because they're evil.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think the Knicks fans are evil enough and lie enough to play dumb. Like, what are you talking about? I'm from Philly. I just want to go to the game. Here, let me buy these tickets. I think New York fans will lie to get the tickets, that they're from Philly, they're Sixer fans, whatever. What are they going to card you when they're scalping tickets? Show me your ID. Like, it doesn't happen. Show me the green. That's what happens.
They don't care. They don't care about that. Yeah, listen, Ferrall, you'll have a Knicks fan that'll have the Sixers jersey T-shirt on and then buy the ticket and then rip the shirt off and have the Knicks shirt underneath that. That's what's going to happen tonight. Knicks fans, stand up. We in the building tonight.
Yeah, but and you think that they're actually going to go in there. Let's just come right out with it. You like them to win tonight and end the series. I hope they win tonight and end the series. I live for that. But I also feel that I think it's rigged for a Game 7 Saturday night at the Garden by Silver. I do think it's rigged. I think they'll make all the calls. They'll do whatever they can to put Embiid on the line and Maxey and let them do whatever they want so that we can have a Game 7 on Saturday night in prime time. No one wants to watch the Pacers and Bucks Saturday night in prime time. They want to watch the Sixers and Knicks. That's all there is to it.
Well, at the end of the day, they're both being ended. So, you know what, Mafia? I'm going to give my pick right now. I'm taking the Knicks plus the 3. I actually think they're, but I might as well take the plus the 3. I think they're going to win outright. Here's why, folks. I don't think Maxey's going to repeat his performance. Tobias Harris was great in the last game to start. He won't repeat it again. And I really think the one-day turnaround for Embiid is going to be an issue. I think the Knicks will get a better performance. I think Tibbs may go to Deuce McBride early enough in the game. And watch this, folks. Don't be surprised if you see Deuce and DiVincenzo a little bit together when Embiid is off the floor to give Hart and Brunson enough rest. I like the Knicks plus the 3.5 today. I think they actually went out right.
Why do you feel that Maxey's not going to have a good game? I think that's crazy. I think that guy has a good game every night.
Well, listen, good game every night, yes. 46, 45 points? No. I see Tibbs adjusting here a little bit. I also think you're going to get a dose a little bit of Mitchell Robinson, who should be back. But watch how they defend Embiid. I like Robinson to go over 6.5 rebounds at minus 130. I think he's going to be a rebounding machine, and he gives Embiid fits. You're going to see Tibbs mix up a lot of what he does defensively. Robinson will guard him. but you will see some quick double teams. Embiid has been a turnover machine in this series, particularly late in games. I think they frustrate him, but Mitch will get going on the defensive boards. Give me Mitchell Robinson, who is the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, over 6.5 boards tonight.
I don't argue with any of that, but what I will say is I don't believe, from what I've seen, there's one guy at all on the Knicks that can guard Maxey. Not even two. At the same time. They can't even double him. There is no one on the Knicks that can guard this guy. He's absolutely unstoppable.
Well, the one thing that you saw they did a better job of that they didn't do in the last game is especially Deuce getting over the screens. I think you're going to see a healthy dose of Deuce McBride. If you want to look at Deuce McBride's points prop again, I would look at it. Listen, if I'm Tibbs, people think I'm crazy. I'm starting Deuce over DiVincenzo because the problem with the Knicks have been in this series, Ferrall, has been slow starts. And it usually starts with DiVincenzo not knocking down shots. If he does start, he misses the first two, I anticipate a quick hook from Tibbs and go right to Deuce. Deuce will do a better job of at least slowing down Maxey.
And then what do you think Brunson's going to do tonight?
I think Brunson is going to play much better. I think he'll be involved in the mix. But here's the problem, folks, and this kind of comes back to the end of game number 5. I saw what I call Randall Part 2. And we used to blame Randall. It ain't Randall. Tibbs don't run anything in the games. It's literally give the ball to Brunson, save us. They need to do some kind of false motion. I think he does better, but I think he also gets other guys involved early and often. OG Anunoby's been really good the last couple of games. I think it continues, but I'm telling you, I still got this thing. Deuce in double figures. Deuce 13, 14 points. I think he's going to be huge tonight, and Hart will play better tonight. He would shot the ball a little bit better game 5. Terrible game 4. He'll be good tonight.
All right, what about your pick for the Bucks-Pacers game tonight at the Fieldhouse? You're going with a total here.
It's very simple, folks, and I want people to think about this. In the games in this series, when the games have gone over, the Pacers have won. When it's gone under, the Bucks have won. I don't want to lay the 6.5, Ferrall, so I'm just going to go over 217.5. Indiana's one of the fastest teams in the NBA, if not the fastest. They get up and down. Remember, folks, I think only 4 or 5 times this season that number has not come in. It's gone under that number during a home game. They get out and run. I love the Pacers tonight to win and close up this series because they don't want to play with their food. Giannis is still doubtful at the last report at 3:30, so I doubt he plays. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Indiana wins, but I like the over even more.
Do you think that Lillard will play?
I think Lillard will give it a go, and even if he gives it a go, he's an Achilles. Like, that's another reason why you want to run. You want to get out of transition. And here's the thing, folks. Here's what's tricky about Indiana, right? Look at the last game. They were up big, and like early in the game. So they get off the fast start. So another way to look at it is maybe take Indiana first points. Speaking of Indiana, Obi once, Obi twice, Obi 3 times, Ferrall, Obi 4 times. Obi topping to go over his points prop is going all the way up to 9.5. Folks, 9 of the last 12 games, Obi has gone over his points prop. Here's the big thing, folks. All of those games, he's gotten the double figures. He excels in transition. 5 out of the last 7 games versus Pacers, he's gotten the double digits. Obi Toppin gets the transition and runs. This correlates. Obi goes over, they run, total goes over, Pacers win.
Do you think that tomorrow night Dallas will finish off the Clippers in Dallas?
Yes, and yeah, Luka, I'm hurt. Luka, I'm sick. Luka done messed around, almost got a triple-double last night. They can't check him and Kyrie. It's a wrap tomorrow night in Dallas.
All right, enjoy the games tonight, particularly the Knicks game late night. It starts around 9. Thanks, Coach.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
DraftKings making a progressive move, I think, that most other companies are also going to do or have done in the past. Adding someone from the government or someone you would say in legislation to become their responsible gaming leader here. And in this case, her name is Lori Kalani.
And it'll be interesting to see if other companies try to follow suit in terms of hiring former lobbyists to head responsible gaming.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
To the 2024 Stanley Cup odds, the Hurricanes remain the favorite, followed by the Panthers and the Rangers. Interesting that they all are coming from the similar side of the bracket.
While the Oilers have the top-end talent, I still don't think they have enough depth, and Stuart Skinner does not scare me in net. So I will take a long series from the Oilers and the Kings, and ultimately I think the Stars are the ones coming out of the West for the Stanley Cup.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
So what are your impressions of Valhalla, just for folks that have not seen it on TV or didn't watch the Ryder Cups or past majors?
You know, they see a PGA maybe at a Southern Hills Moon or a Bet Page or, whatever it may be. And they're like, Valhalla and Louisville, Kentucky. But look at the tournaments produced, and it's insane. Yeah, it really has. And obviously, of course, I'm biased toward it.
Only on SportsGrid.
Draisaitl could easily, at plus money, get the first goal, the second goal, the fourth goal. There's a few guys here. Maybe the prop betting market is not a bad way to look here.
Clippers over the Mavericks. If I would have told you that score before the game, knowing that Kawhi Leonard wasn't playing, I would have really figured it would have been the other way around. But the NBA is just crazy.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
Joins us every day on Coast to Coast from Fantasy Sports Today. You can catch him on Saturday mornings with Scoop Mish. You see him on the early line, on everything on SportsGrid. You name it, you get it from Davis Mattek. You can follow him on X at Davis Mattek, Mattek. Davis, I want to start with this. I was surprised to see that Walker Buehler's finally coming back to the Dodgers. And he's going to pitch Monday. And, we haven't seen him in a while. And remember when he blew his arm out? And then Urias, I guess, pled no contest to the battery charges. So a lot of Dodger pitcher news there. I think he's done with the Dodgers either way.
Yeah, seems like Urias won't be back. Buehler is sort of strange in the sense that he has actually mostly been kind of the picture of health in his career. He's got multiple 30-start seasons, so I would anticipate him to get ramped up and be good to go here. Not exactly what you want to hear if you are not a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're sitting at 20-13. They're first place in the division right now. They were scrumping around, struggling a little bit to start the year. That's pretty much all over now. Yamamoto looks awesome. Glasnow looks awesome. They're actually getting something out of James Paxton. I suppose we probably won't see very much more of Gavin Stone. Bobby Miller's on the 15-day IL. I don't think they're crying too many tears, really, about that. Michael Grove has not been very good. I guess it's really just a situation of the rich get richer. The bullpen has also been fairly good for the Los Angeles Dodgers, as you would expect. So welcome back, Walker Buehler.
I don't know if I really spoke with you about this at any length of how crazy it is that Trout is done again. That amazes me. It's just every year. Mike Trout, it's and I know that he was hitting home runs and playing well, but this guy can't stay healthy for a month. He's already done, and they're saying he might come back this year. Just knowing that they have no clue if he'll come back this year is bad enough for me.
Right. It sounds like the minimum time that he would be out would be 6 weeks. Go ahead, tack on another week to that just because it doesn't seem like Trout, it heals all that fast. It is kind of crazy. He has not had over 500 plate appearances since 2019. That is a long time, and that was the last season that he won American League MVP, the last time that he led baseball in any category, OPS plus, OBP, all that stuff. I mostly these days, I mean, I kind of view Trout as like a tragic figure, right? We never really got to see him at the height of his powers for long enough. We never got to see him play meaningful postseason games. And to me, just as a fan of baseball, I mean, that is a bummer.
What do you think of the Orioles pushing the Yankees around this week at Camden? They did it again today.
Carver High and I, we've been all over this. I mean, we just think that the Baltimore Orioles are the best team in that division. I know Carver roots for the Yankees, but weirdly, the one that they lost was the Corbin Burns start. Definitely not what you would have anticipated. You would have thought that would have been the easy one. I mean, look, the Orioles. I mean, I'm prepared to say that if they get a really good season out of any of their young guys, so whether that be Kirkstad, whether they call Holiday back up and he turns it all the way around, I mean, they might just be the best team, not only in the American League, they might just be the best team in baseball. They are terrifying. I mean, just imagine you are an opposing starting pitcher having to go up against these guys. Man, they just are. Their lineup is so good.
You are going rogue tonight with some of these picks. Let's start with your take on the Sixers-Knicks game. Coach is not going to be pleased with you.
I know. Look, Coach, I apologize. I apologize to the greater New York metropolitan area. I think the 76ers get it done here tonight. I mean, let's just be honest. Embiid was not good in Game 5. He really was not. That was all about Tyrese Maxey digging deep, finding something inside of himself and saying, we are going to be winning this basketball game. Embiid had 19 points in that game. Mitchell Robinson, a lot of credit to him. I mean, look, he's done a really good job against Embiid. I don't think they're going to escape another one. I think this will be much more like Game 3 from the Philadelphia 76ers, where Embiid just shows up and is the baddest dude on the court. Also, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way. I just am starting to get worried about Jalen Brunson. Like, this dude is carrying the city that never sleeps on his shoulders. That he just has got to be, when that dude lays his head on the pillow at night, he has got to just be so tired.
There's no doubt. I'm with you. I feel like it's going to be a Game 7 Saturday night at the Garden, like it's inevitable. I think the league wants it that way, and I think they'll make sure it happens. That's why I bet on Philly tonight.
That's a great point. They definitely do want that. A Game 7, Round 1, really good series. You are 100% correct. They do want that.
So I think it's inevitable. And so the game's starting late tonight around 9. I'm so stressed out watching the Knicks and Sixers. It's not even good for my health. I got enough problems with my, health. You know what I mean? Like I can't take it. And then I just know it's going to end up being a 7th game. It drives me nuts. So the other game that you're going rogue on, which I also agree with you, is and it's not the baseball play. I want to jump the baseball play. I want to go to his hockey play because there is a big Game 6 tonight in Toronto, and tell him what you're doing there.
I mean, look, I'm just going reverse Ewing theory here. I'm not pretending that I am coming here on I'm not pretending that I'm a hockey expert, although I am. This is true on Ferrall Coast to Coast, Scotty. I am undefeated, a 100% record on hockey plays here on the program. Austin Matthews is not playing. What are we doing? What are we doing, Austin Matthews? Not playing with the illness? Come on. We are taking the Boston Bruins money line, Maple Leafs, just getting thrown out of the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion. What are we doing, Austin Matthews?
So what is that? I want to just look at that money line right now. They're still favored -135 to win that game. It's really not that bad of a price. All right, what was your baseball play again, real quick?
I'm just rewarding the Houston Astros by taking them on the money line for sending Jose Abreu down to AAA. So Astros money line tonight.
Yeah, I'm on the Guardians. They win all the time. The Astros suck.
Dame get frustrated. Miserable year in Milwaukee. Does he ask out? Does Giannis ask out? Well, you ain't got no one else to trade. Middleton makes a ton of money, old. Bobby Portis makes a ton of money, old. Brook Lopez makes a ton of money, old. Pat Connaughton's going to give you nothing in trade value. So to me, watch Milwaukee. Folks, this could be the end of the Bucks dynasty.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's
yes.
How we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
I just don't want to play for clicks. I want to be involved with a great leading program that's going to develop players. Him leaving Colorado, a shot across the bow at Dion. I don't think Dion cares.
We saw Logan Diggs move on from LSU to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. Don't be shocked if you see John Emery potentially maybe at another school, maybe like a Miss State or even maybe like a Texas A&M.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time had 35 in the first half, Cam. And then, of course, he did not have another point the rest of the game.
Lillard's, it's playoff game time. This guy will show up. He will hit shots. Indiana, you better respond here because I'll tell you, that's a bad loss. We were wrong, Carver. Like, hey, I admit, I was on the Pelicans. This game, I lost.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Cover High, and I could have sworn it was just you, me, Morency, and the Prime Minister that liked hockey around here. Unbelievable developments as the early line had the NHL.com's Pete Jensen on with Ben and Donnie to talk about how great the Oilers' star players were. Check it out from this morning.
Take a look big picture on Edmonton as well. Sometimes in the playoffs, you only go as far as some of your superstar players take you here. You take a look at Connor McDavid, 12 points in 5 games, had 100 assists in the regular season, 2 more assists last night, and a +2. Moving forward with Connor McDavid, is he the guy that can help the Edmonton Oilers lift the cup? And does he need to play like this on a night-to-night basis for Edmonton to do that, Pete?
Yeah, he needs to keep this up. Leon Draisaitl, same thing. You look at those guys historically, it's crazy. They have like very close to the same points per game average in the playoffs for their careers. We know that they need more help around them, and I think they have it this year with guys like Matthias Ekholm playing the best hockey of his career. They acquired Adam Henrique before the deadline. There was that one injury concern with Evander Kane, but he's had a couple of big moments in the first round. One of the first games in LA, he had a huge performance, game 3, and then also scored last night. So I feel like Edmonton, and then they have the high danger king, NHL leader in the regular season in high danger goals and high danger shots on goal is Zach Hyman. So I feel like they have the most robust profile that they've ever had in the McDavid-Draisaitl era. The big question is Stuart Skinner good enough to carry them on a deep run? Remains to be seen on that front.
There you go from the early line today. Carver High, I just want to add, who will they play? The winner of what? The Edmonton Oilers?
They would play the winner of the Vancouver-Nashville series in the next round. That is who they will be waiting on.
I still think that's going to be Vancouver. And do you? And who wins that series?
I actually give Nashville a shot with Game 6 going back to their building. I like the way they've played in this series. Edmonton has to beat whoever wins that series, Scotty. I don't care who they play. The mighty Edmonton Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl and all, how great they've been the last few years without not even getting to the Stanley Cup final. They have to, at minimum, be in the West Finals with the road that they've had, playing the Kings and then the winner of that series. They absolutely have to.
And then if Dallas wins, at home and finishes off Vegas. Who do they play?
Colorado. Colorado will play the winner of that series.
And Colorado's been winning every night now. Have you noticed they don't lose it?
Yeah.
They're not losing at all. They lost one and then won 4 straight.
Colorado and Dallas potentially. That's a Western Conference final type second round matchup. That's how good that would be if you get those. But all these teams in the West are good. They're very good. But Edmonton's got to. Now, they couldn't beat Vancouver to save their lives in the regular season, Scotty. Vancouver beat them, I think, almost every game. But this is the playoffs. It's a whole nother animal once you get to this point. So that's how it goes for the Oilers.
All right, so obviously, do whatever you want. If you want to stay on the hockey because we got this big game tonight, you can do that. Feel free, and we can go back to the Sixers.
I want to clean this out before we go to the hockey full force because we're going to spend a lot of time on it. I have two or three things I want to finish with you. First of all, the most bet player props for the Knicks and the Sixers tonight. Hartenstein over 14.5 points and rebounds. Maxey under 26.5 points. Batum over 1.5 assists. Embiid over 33.5 points. And Brunson over 11.5 assists and rebounds. The most bet player props.
Yeah, the most bet, should be Ty Maxey to have well over that number. Well, he's not having 28 points. He's going to score 30 to 45 points in that game tonight like he always does. There's no one on the Knicks that can guard him. It drives me nuts. No one can guard him. If no one can guard him, he ain't going to be stopped.
And look, they got Embiid there for 33.5. I think Coach is right. I think Embiid's on fumes coming into this game tonight. I think that you're right in the aspect that Maxey needs to be the focal point for the Sixers tonight if they're going to win this game. I do think the Knicks win, Scotty. I know I didn't get to tell you that yet. I think the Knicks are going to beat the Sixers tonight, and they're going to end that series in Philadelphia to finish them off.
This guy hits so many threes, and you don't expect it, but he hits logo threes, and they leave him open. It's unbelievable. And then what they're worried about is him driving. And when he drives, I haven't seen one guy come close to stopping him from dunking it or laying it off the glass or into the with a finger roll into the net. He's unguardable.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you for the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cash the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.